Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. Back for another live show and a lot to discuss today. I mean, obviously, no done transfers or anything like that, but we will be talking about what you can see on screen: the latest on Nico Williams, the latest on Benjamin Sesko, obviously, Rodrygo once again, and a couple of updates on players like Xavi Simons and Anthony Gordon. Could those be the players we end up with at Arsenal? So let's discuss all that. We'll also have an update on Reiss Nelson, a guy you haven't talked about recently that much. But let's get started with what is on screen right now, and that is on Nico Williams from David Onstein. Arsenal and Chelsea cool Nico Williams' interest as Barcelona step up pursuit and Bayern Munich consider move. Barcelona want to do deal, appeal to 22-year-old but complicated by financial situation. Bayern made contract offer and may improve it. So, as I said yesterday, this was before this news came out. I've never really felt that Nico Williams really wants to move to England or join Arsenal. I've always felt like this is a player who wants to join Barcelona or stay at Bilbao. Same with last season. And the moment a player really wants to join Barcelona, even last season, Barcelona said they don't really have enough money to get him. He still say that, now, you know what, I'm still going to wait for Barcelona. He's not really keen on a move to England. I mean, Arsenal has been mentioned before, Chelsea has been mentioned before, Liverpool has been mentioned before, but never really felt like he'd want to join any of those teams. He'd want to stay back in Spain. Now, we basically got confirmation yesterday that he definitely wants to join Barcelona, and now Arsenal and Chelsea have called their interest in the player. And I think this is the right thing to do. Yes, he was our top target last season. I think we still had a bit for him this season as well. We really wanted to get him this season as well. But the fact that we were not keen about his wages, because he basically wants to become the highest paid player at Arsenal, and the fact that he doesn't really want to join us anyway, those are two things that have to go your way for you to get the player. The moment the player says he wants to join Barcelona, I've always felt he'd want to go there to play the Amal ever since the Euros. And then he started looking like, oh, maybe not. Maybe actually we'll end up in England. But no, he definitely wants to play for Barcelona, and his wages would be more than even Saka's at this point. You'd want to be the highest paid player at Arsenal. So if we keep on going with Nico Williams, and no one else, we'd end up without a winger. So I think it's the best thing to do right now. Just forget about Nico Williams. There's a lot of wingers out there that are linked with moves away, that you're going to discuss in this video. And there's others that you're not even going to discuss in this video. But there are players that we can definitely get, and they're approachable and they're gettable. So for Nico Williams, this is a tough deal to do if the player doesn't want to join you and the wages are too high. And I've seen some comments from people saying, Nico Williams seems like he's a proud player. He doesn't really want to join us, blah, blah, blah. It could be the case. So we might as well just move on to the next target. There's no need to just stay there and wait for Nico Williams to just say, I'm waiting for you guys to come for me. So basically for Arsenal, we are Nico Williams plan B. So if Barcelona don't end up getting him actually maybe plan C, maybe plan B is even to stay at Bilbao for another season. Maybe Arsenal is plan C to Nico Williams. So the only way you'd get Nico Williams is if Barcelona decide not to get him, and we decide to push for him, and then we get him like in August or something. And do we have time to wait for those players to join us in August and stuff? We don't really have that time. So we have to go for players who want to join us right now, and we have to push right now. So for the Nico Williams one yesterday, I said I was not confident. Now that has definitely gone to very not confident. Like, I'm not confident Nico Williams will join us. And David Onstein has said Arsenal and Chelsea have cooled their interest. So we are not going for Nico Williams anytime soon. That is a player who wants to go to Barcelona. So we might as well move on from that one. Next up, let's talk about Sesko. You're already like 3 weeks into the transfer window. Okay, 2 weeks it's been open, but yeah, June 17th, and it's going to take long. We are still going to be talking about Sesko and Gyokeres for a couple of more weeks. Let's go to this. Leipzig's bosses haven't yet entered into concrete negotiations with any club regarding a transfer fee, not even with Arsenal, with whom Sesko has been repeatedly linked. Now, if we put Arsenal on the side for a little bit, I'm still quite very weird that both Gyokeres and Sesko, there's no one who has really gone for them at all. Both of them, Sesko and Gyokeres, there's no team. Gyokeres, Sporting have said there's not been any offer for him at all, and for Gyokeres, sorry, and Leipzig have said there's not been any offer for Sesko at all. and we're June 17th. So that is very interesting that no one has gone for these players as of yet, unless everyone is playing chess here, or we don't like to see it. We want our strikers to be there very, very quickly, but looks like everyone is playing chess. Everyone is waiting for the prices to drop. Everyone is waiting for Leipzig to maybe say, okay, we are happy with 50 million for Benjamin Sesko, and everyone is happy to wait for Gyokeres price to drop as well. No one really wants to go and pay that 70 million, 80 million, 85 million that both of those teams want. Now, going back to Arsenal, we are the ones who are like desperate to get a striker, a team like Man City already have a striker. Liverpool already have forward players, and those are the teams they're competing with. Teams like Madrid in the Champions League, those guys already have their forward players. So the other teams that would want these guys, they're not really the teams that we are competing with. Although, I mean, that is Gyokeres would be wanted by a lot of teams. Obviously, Sesko could be wanted by a lot of teams if they become 50 million, 60 million. But you are the ones who really need this. We want to win the Premier League title. We want to compete once again in the Champions League, and we know we need a striker. We need to go for players like this. That just has to happen. If we are serious, we have to get one of these players. So hopefully you guys can hear me. By the way, the internet is going up and down, but that's the latest. Okay, guys, we are back. Apologies for that. The internet went down completely. Maybe even the internet is totally not having it with Arsenal's transfer window. The internet is tired of Arsenal's transfer window, looks like it as well. But we are back. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But yeah, let's go from where we stopped. So I was basically saying Leipzig and Sporting, they're going to have to really wait. I don't think Arsenal are going to go and pay that money right now. I think Arsenal and all these other guys that are linked to these players, everyone is waiting for the price to go down. So that is going to be the case. We're going to have to really wait for the prices to go down. Arsenal are not going to go and pay that 70, 80 million. So he's still going to be very frustrating for the next couple of days. I feel like if you're going to get one of these players, I'm guessing it's going to be something like July, to be honest. So it's going to take a lot of time. But that's the latest on Sesko. Basically, nothing has happened. Next up, let's talk about Rodrygo and the winger position. So we already know Nico Williams is not joining. You already know that Sane has moved on to a different team. We'll also talk about him a little bit on this one. But let's go to Rodrygo. That is a player who's been linked to Arsenal. And The Athletic has updates on Rodrygo and Gordon. On top of a new striker, Arsenal would like to strengthen their squad with a new wide player. Rodrygo is of interest, although a deal is unlikely to come cheap, and that could present a challenge. Domestically, Anthony Gordon is another player they admire. Now, still very wide. I'm hoping it's not just these names that are there, because Nico Williams and Sane are not going to join us already. There's 3 more to go. There's a lot more, like players like Rafa Leao, but we've not really been linked to them. The problem with players like Anthony Gordon, I feel like it's a waste of time to be linked to these players. He's not going to leave Newcastle. I just feel like it's the same with Isaac. He's going to stay at Newcastle for at least one more season. So if you put all your eggs, in one basket and say that you're only going to wait for Anthony Gordon, you're not going to get Anthony Gordon right now. And the other question is, are you willing to go and pay that 70 million for Anthony Gordon right now? And Gordon has been very good in the Premier League the last couple of seasons. But again, I always ask myself, is that the level we want to go to? We want to go to the very next level. The very next level is, players like Rafa Leao and Rodrygo. I think Gordon could still be on the level below that one. So I think we'd be wasting our time trying to go for a player like Gordon. This will be another more stress. Basically, you're not going to go and get linked to Gordon and then you just get him tomorrow. This is a player that you're going to be linked to for 2 months before even Newcastle budge, and Newcastle can easily say 100 million for Anthony Gordon, and then what next? So it's good to hear that we want players like Anthony Gordon, but I think it's a waste of time. You're not going to get Anthony Gordon away from Newcastle. So Nico Williams, we already need a plan B from Nico Williams, because Nico Williams has always felt like he wants to join Barcelona, and you cannot just say, okay, now we just want Anthony Gordon. That cannot be the case. What about Rodrygo? Arsenal would like to strengthen their squad with a new wide player. Rodrygo is of interest, although a deal is unlikely to come cheap. Now, I'm slightly hopeful that Rodrygo, I think a week ago I said I'm more confident Rodrygo would join Arsenal more than Nico Williams. Obviously, that is still the case. But obviously, it's not a deal that I can easily say and openly say, okay, we are going to get Rodrygo. No. As the Athletic have said, the deal is unlikely to come cheap. We're already hearing that teams from Saudi Arabia might want him, and teams from Saudi Arabia are willing to pay 90 million and 100 million. Now, if that's the case, I'm sure Real Madrid would be happy to sell him to Saudi Arabia for 100 million. Now, it depends on the player. Does the player want to move to Saudi Arabia, or does he want to stay at Madrid, or does he want to come to England and play for Arsenal? If that's the case, we'd still have to pay a lot of money for him. Literally, if you want to get Rodrygo, we'd have to go over 80 million. That's just the case. And if teams from Saudi Arabia offering 100 million, unless Rodrygo pushes for a move from Real Madrid, it's going to be 80 million plus if you want to get him. Now, for the winger position, I think we desperately need to get a striker fast for sure. But for the winger position, it's very tricky. At the beginning of the transfer window, I said I'm happy with whoever we get, whether it's Nico Williams, Rodrygo, Rafael. I'm happy with whoever you're going to get in the winger position. But I don't think the ball is in our court in any of these at all. Nico Williams wants to join Barcelona. That's a problem. You're not going to get him if he doesn't want to join you. Number 2, Anthony Gordon. You already know it's difficult to get business done with Newcastle. We've already seen with Isaac, and I'm sure they want to sell Gordon. They've just won a trophy and then the Champions League. That is also very complicated to get Anthony Gordon. Number 3, Rodrygo. It's a waiting game as well. We are not sure if Rodrygo really wants to leave Madrid. We are not really sure if Real Madrid want to sell Rodrygo, and you're not really sure whether we can afford him. So the ball is not really in our court there as well. Unless if Rodrygo had said, I want to join Arsenal, then that is a different case. But no one has said anything like that, and Real Madrid have not really said that, okay, we definitely want to sell Rodrygo. And then if you look at the other players we're being linked to, it's not, I don't think Semenyo is worth 70 million. I don't think we should go and pay like 75 million for Semenyo. So basically all the wingers, the ball is not in our court at all. I think getting a wing is not going to happen right now. It's going to happen like in July. That's why we should be trying to get a striker right now, because a player like Gyokeres has said, I prefer joining Arsenal. But Rodrygo has not said that. Anthony Gordon has not said that. Morgan Rogers has not said that. Rafael has not said that. So it's going to be complicated to get all of these players. And if you're going to get Rodrygo, you're going to have to pay a lot of money. Now, as I said, unless at the end, before the preseason, we end up getting Rodrygo and someone like a Sesko because he was cheaper, I'd be like, okay, I can see why you wanted to get a striker for cheap, because he knew a winger like Rodrygo or Rafael would cost a lot of money. So you had to save a bit of money in the striker position, and then you end up with both of them, a striker and a left winger. I'm going to be happy with that. But what I'm a bit worried about in the back of my head is, what if Rodrygo just says, okay, I'm going to stay at Madrid, and then Rafael signs a new contract at AC Milan today, and then we say, okay, you know what? Let's go for Lookman. Oops, too late. Lookman has already joined AC Milan. And then we try and go for someone else like Mitoma. Oops, it's too late. Mitoma has already moved on to Liverpool. And then what next after that? Because you don't have a lot of time. Teams are making a lot of moves already. I think there's only like 4 teams in the Premier League that haven't signed a player, and we are one of them. And I'm sure the other teams are going to sign players very quickly, like Crystal Palace is in Europe. They're going to sign players. We're the only ones. So I'm happy we've cooled interest in players like Nico Williams, because if he doesn't want to join, there's no need of wasting time there. You have to move on to the next player. And Rodrygo, let's make sure Rodrygo and Anthony Gordon are not the only options that we have, because Rodrygo is not a guarantee. He's going to move on from Madrid, and I'm very sure that Gordon is not going to move on from Newcastle. So make sure you have other options. There's other options out there. There's Lookman, there's Rafael. Make sure you have a lot of different options. So that's the latest on Gordon and Rodrygo. Tough deals to do. So yeah. What about Xavi Simons? What's the latest on him? According to the Athletic have given us a lot of updates. And thank you to FC staff for compiling this. As always, Xavi Simons has told RB Leipzig that he wishes to leave this summer. With only 2 years left on his contract, Leipzig broadly accept that that this might be the right moment to part ways, but are determined to resist offers below 70 million euros. Another Leipzig player. We are still trying to discuss Sesko with them, but this is another Leipzig player that we want. But as you can see, there's no player that we've talked about that is less than that. Everyone, they want 60 million, 70 million, 80 million. Now that Vats has gone to Liverpool for that kind of money, Real Madrid would be like, no, we want 100 million for Rodrygo. Leipzig will be Xavi Simons. We want 70 million for him as well. Atalanta would be like, no, Lookman, we want 80 million, 90 million for him. everyone will want a lot of money for their players. So hopefully, in our case, when we are selling our players, we can get a lot of money for our players as well, because everyone else will want a lot of money for their players. Now, Xavi Simons has never really been that high on my list, and I don't really count him as a winger. He's obviously like a number 10, number 8. He's played those pretty different positions for PSV, for PSG, for Leipzig, for all of them. He's played for Barcelona before as well. He's played those positions well. I don't see him really as a wing. I see him as like that Odegaard position, that number 8 position around there, sometimes as a false 9 or something like that. I also watched him for Netherlands the other day. I think they scored like 7-8 goals in that game. He was good. He was getting himself into a lot of good positions, but he's never really been that high on my list. If you had to ask me to get wingers, I would not include him in the top 3 there. If you had to ask me to get number 10s and you're including Xavi Simons on that list, I would still have Morgan Rogers and Eze above Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons is a very good player, but would you guys be happy if we ended up getting Sesko and Xavi Simons only? Just the 2 of them as our forward signings. Would you guys be happy with that? I don't know. And it has always all over the place. It has always seemed that Xavi Simons, every team he goes to, they want to sell him, like PSG, Leipzig now. PSG wanted to sell him like a season ago or something. But 70 million euros. So that is around, let's say, 58, 59 million pounds to get Xavi Simons. I don't know, man. I feel like we need a striker first, and then we also need a winger second. And then if you're going to get a number 10, number 8 position there, then you can go for someone like a Xavi Simons. But you're going to have to pay money for these players. None of these players is going to be cheap. Not at all. None of them is going to be cheap. You're going to have to splash the money. And that is just in terms of the fee. We've not even talked about the wages and all. So if you want to go to the next level, you're going to have to pay your players a lot of money. I know you're not Man City and teams like that in terms of wages, but if you look at Man City, they pay Haaland 500,000 per week. They were paying De Bruyne something like 400 and something thousand per week. Our highest paid player is like 275,000 or something. So if you're going to go to the next level, you're going to have to start competing with such teams. And those are the teams you're competing with. You're going to have Liverpool don't pay a lot of money in terms of wages to their players, but recently they've given Van Dijk and Salah more than 400,000 as well. We don't have anyone even above 300,000. So if you're going to keep players like Saka and Saliba, you're going to go to those numbers. And if you're going to try and get players like Rodrygo and Gyokeres, you might have to approach those numbers as well if you're going to beat those other teams. It's just what has to happen if you want to get those players. You're going to have to pay a lot of money for them. But Xavi Simons, we've been linked to him. He wouldn't really be my first option, and I don't feel like he's Arsenal's first option. I feel like he's Arsenal's plan C or something. So I'm hoping we don't end up with too many plan Cs in our team. We want some plan As in different positions as well. Quick update on Sane. Arsenal held talks with Leroy Sane, but with the club looking to assess their options, Sane reached an agreement with Galatasaray. Arsenal showed interest in Nypan, but became resigned to losing out on him. Neither Sane nor Nypan were priority targets. So, okay, that's good. Sane was not a priority target. Nypan was not a priority target, but we've been told that players like Rodrygo are priority targets, and we've been told that Nico Williams is a priority target. But now that we've cooled our interest in Nico Williams, I'm hoping we do end up getting one of those strikers and someone like a Rodrygo, because who is the priority? Because I always hear this one is not the priority. We want Watkins, but he's not the priority. We want Lookman, but he's not the priority. We want Gordon, but he's not the priority. We wanted Sane, but he's not the priority. I don't mind not getting Sane. I mean, he's going to get paid like 400,000 per week. We'd never have paid him that anyway. We lost out on Nypan, a youngster from Rosenborg who's now joined Man City. I was also never really that confident in getting him. My shopping list was very simple. Gyokeres, not simple, but very straightforward. Get me a striker, Gyokeres. Get me a winger, Rodrygo, Nico Williams. Get me another attacking player, whether it's a backup for Saka or backup for Odegaard or competition for any of them, or someone who can play the number 8 and push forward, that is Rogers or Eze, one of them. The shopping list is very clear. I'm not going to say, I want Rafa Leao for 200 million, or I wanted both Eze and Rodgers and 2 strikers. I'm not asking for that. I asked for 1 striker, 1 winger, and a backup for Saka, or an extra attacking midfielder there. So hopefully we do end up with that. I'm still not going to say anything at all right now. We're still on June 17th. I'm still going to give Bata the time it's his first transfer window. Let's see how he does. That's all I'm going to say. But that is the updates on the forward players. What about defensively? Now, the Athletic as well has said a central defender to support Gabriel Magalhaes, and William Saliba is a signing Mikel Arteta would be happy to make. Maguire is a player Arsenal like, but whether he would want to play second fiddle to the first choice pairing could be an issue. I doubt he'd want to play second fiddle, to be honest. And where is Kivia in all of this? I don't like the way we are talking about centre backs and not including Kivia, because it actually does seem that Arsenal would be happy to sell Kivia if he gets more than 30 million. I wouldn't sell him at all. I'd try to keep him. Again, man, I don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we've sold Kivia, we've sold Zinchenko, we've sold Tierney, we've sold Martinelli, we've let go of Partey. Then all of a sudden, you're going to need so many players. We had all of those players last season, and we still didn't have enough players. So unless we're going to go and sign 10 players in the next 2 months, we can't be getting rid of players like that, because next season we cannot have Gabriel playing every game and Saliba playing every game again. No. And we cannot be sure about Calafio's injury. We cannot be sure about Timber's injury as well. We cannot be sure about Tomiyasu's injuries. We just can't. I say they want us to get a centre-back who can also play full-back, no problem, but not now. Right now, I want us to get a striker, a winger, and then in the last part of the transfer window, we can go and get a defender, no problem, because I feel like we need a defender because of the injuries, but not now. And I want us to keep Kivia anyway. And how much would Gay cost? If we start talking about 40 million for Gay, a backup defender in our team, then that is problematic. If you've already had a striker and a winger and an attacking midfielder, then you have extra money, then no problem. You can use 30 million, 40 million to improve your bench. No problem. But you can't go and pay 40 million for Gay if you don't have a striker yet. You don't even have a backup goalkeeper yet. You don't have a winger yet. We can't be doing that. So Gay is on the news, though. Gay is still a player that we want, but I'm not sure he'd want to come and play second choice. And the World Cup is coming up. He's a player who started for England a few times recently. If he comes to Arsenal, he stays on the bench. Gabriel is not going to be benched for Gay. Gay has to go to a team where he's going to play every single day. And Crystal Palace have European football anyway. He can stay there. He can just stay there and play in the Europa League and play in the league and show himself to Tuchel, and he's going to go to the World Cup next year. But if he comes to us, he's not going to play. So if I was Gay, I wouldn't really go to Arsenal. Arsenal, make sure you don't pay too much money for Gay. That's all I can say. If I was him, I'd just stay at Crystal Palace, or, if there's a team that really wants him, like a Newcastle, and there's no one else in that position, then you can go there. But at Arsenal, you're not going to play, man. There's Gabriel and Saliba. Reiss Nelson, the Athletic have also said Reiss Nelson is subject to plenty of interest this summer, with Fulham also interested in securing his return to Craven Cottage if a deal can be agreed. So, question for you guys, how much do you think we should be getting for Reiss Nelson? I've seen people saying 10 million is okay, 15 million is okay. Now, this is where I'm also looking at how good Bata is, because we've never been a team to sell players for good enough money. How much are you going to get for Reiss Nelson? If this was 2 years ago, I would expect us to get like 4 million for Reiss Nelson. But I want to see how much Andrea Bata can pull for Reiss Nelson. So I have to check how long Reiss Nelson contract is. I heard he's happy at Fulham. I mean, he's had an injury, so we're not going to get too much money for him because he's been injured anyway. Do I have Reiss Nelson here? Reiss Nelson. Where is Reiss Nelson? Is he on this list? He's not on this list. What? Reiss Nelson. Don't tell me he's not even on Arsenal's contract list. Like, we don't count him at all, literally. He's not there at all. Wow. I can't see Reiss Nelson. I don't know how long Reiss Nelson has remaining on his contract, but I can see Fabio Vieira, I can see Lokonga, I can see Tavares, I can see all these guys. I don't know where Reiss Nelson is, but I don't see Reiss Nelson staying at Arsenal either way. The levels we're trying to move to, we've moved on from players like Reiss Nelson, to be honest. Last season, it was a big mistake letting go of him and Vieira and Smith Rowe and getting all these guys without getting a replacement. But going into next season with Nelson as Saka's backup, yeah, I don't think that would be what we want to get to that level. Thank you, RK, for this super chat. Thank you for the update, Glenn. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much. I don't think Reiss Nelson is a player that we want to go back to that kind of level. Right now we want to go to the next level. Right now we cannot go back and start bringing back Nelson and going back and signing Kepa again. No, we have to go to the next level, and the next level is players like Rodrygo and players like Rafael. That's the next level. So Reiss Nelson, how much did I get for him? I think like 15 million. Now, to be honest, if you go back to 2021, I wanted Reiss Nelson and Maitland-Niles to leave in 2021. I was like, nah, I don't trade Reiss Nelson. I don't trade Maitland-Niles at all. None of that. I didn't trade any of them at that point. Obviously, I think in that transfer window, we rejected like 20-something million for Maitland-Niles, which was a big mistake. I think it was from Wolves, and we didn't really get to sell Nelson. I think Nelson would have been sold all the way back in 2022 if he didn't pick up an injury. He would have been sold then. But because he picked up an injury, he ended up staying. And then he gave us one of the best memories as Arsenal fans. That goal against Bournemouth, that was a great time. That goal really made me believe we were going to win the league that season. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. And he's gone to Fulham. And at Fulham, he's been injured. He hasn't really played. He's not a player that is going to come back to Arsenal right now. I don't think so. I don't think we have space for him. We are trying to get other back. I mean, if we were rating him, we would have just said bring him back to backup Saka. But everyone else has been saying, no, we need new backups for Saka. We need new players. No one really says, bring back Reiss Nelson to back him up in that position. So Cornelius says 10 million for him is enough. We change to this. 10 million for him is enough. Frederick says 15 to 21 million. Solomon says 15 million is enough. Cooper says 15 million is enough as well. Yeah, I would say around the same. 15 million would be enough. I think I would also be happy with 15 million. Let's go to the start. And see what you guys are saying. How are you doing? I'm doing good. Let's see. Arsenal signing Kunko on loan from Chelsea won't be a surprise. Oh God, no, please, man, no. Yeah, that would be disastrous. That would be very Arsenal, but that would be disastrous. We can't be. Nah, man. Kunko has not looked motivated for like the last 2 years. He doesn't look like someone who's wanted to play football for the last 2 years. So, yeah, and another player from Chelsea again. We've not even finished signing Kepa. Lawrence says, Glenn, I know you're tired of the rumors. Yeah, it is that way. We have to do it every single day. We have to talk about Arsenal. This is the team that we love. This is the team that we support. But yeah, it is a bit frustrating when literally you wake up and you look for the news and you're like, man, still nothing to talk about really. And it's just like if we have updates today on players like Gordon, Rodrygo, and players like that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to get Rodrygo, man. Like, can we go for players that we're actually going to get? Yeah, it is. It's frustrating, Lawrence. It definitely is. I want to come here and talk about, oh my goodness, Rodrygo. Here we go from Fabrizio. David Johnson has confirmed medical will be done tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, the next day, boom! Once again, another striker we've signed. Surprise signing from Ajax for 60 million. We want it to be like that, but it's never really been that way with Arsenal. It's always June, especially. It's been very quiet until like July. Frederick says, don't mind about the years for Viktor Gyokeres. Players are plenty. We shall buy another striker when Viktor Gyokeres gets old. Yeah, that is also how I'm looking at it. By the time he's 30 years of age, there'll be new strikers. We can just buy another striker again. So I also am not really. And 27 years of age is not old. He's now going to his prime. The moment you get to like 28, then you're in your prime. So if he's getting those 100 goals in 2 seasons when he's not even in his prime, that's good. So I do agree with that, Frederick. I also look at it like that. By the time he's 30, we'll just go and get another striker, no problem. A couple of comments there I can't bring up. Chol and Tobin. Yeah, I cannot bring up those comments though. Kai Havertz will be a striker for next season, believe me. Hopefully not though. I don't think it's also fair on Havertz to do that to him. it's even double, triple the pressure next season. If you do that to him, it's you're going to be killing the player even more. So I don't think it's even fair on him to do that to him. He's not really a striker. He's like a backup. So yeah, it shouldn't be fair to him. We can't have him as our striker next season. It just can't happen. Mike says, please subscribe. Thank you. Good afternoon, Glenn. Please, Zubimendi signed already. That is what we were told. Zubimendi is already an Arsenal player, but they're waiting for July because Sociedad want Arsenal to wait for July to announce him. Maybe Arsenal are waiting to enter into their new financial as an excuse as per now, or maybe they're seeing Jesus and Kai as proper strikers to them. No, I don't think that's the case. I think the reason they brought Andrea Bata Lonek here is because they want to sign a striker. That's the main reason we brought Andrea Bata. That's what I'd like to believe. That's the main reason we brought him, so that we can sign a striker. I think after the last 2 seasons, surely they know now. Surely they know. You could also tell how frustrated Ateta was every time he was asked that question. He was like, in the back of his head, he's like, I know, like, can you stop asking me that question? Like, surely if you're going to next season without a striker, then I cannot come here and say, this and that. I cannot. That's the missing piece of the puzzle. We've tried everything else. We've been number 2 for 3 seasons in a row. We've not really dropped. We don't really lose too many games because our defense is good. When was the last time you conceded more than 2 goals in a game? It's literally been like 2 years since you conceded more than 2 goals in a game. When you look at records like that, you're like, we are wasting players like Gabriel and Ryan Saliba. Just get them a striker, and we're good to go. Gabriel is already now. Gabriel's birthday was the other day. He's turned 28. They're not going to be here forever. If you don't win the league this season, boom, he's 29, and then 30, and then boom, Gabriel is gone. Saliba's moved on to a different team, and then you have to start looking for another defender. Let's not do what we used to do back in the day, where we used to, back in 2007, 2008, that Arsenal was incredible with Rosicki and Kleb and Fabregas and Flamini and even Adebayo and Van Persie and Sanya and Clichy, all these guys. We were playing some really beautiful football. But what didn't we have? We didn't have good defenders, and we did not have a good goalkeeper. So we used to score all these goals, but we didn't have good defenders. And then there was Almuni and Lehmann in goal. Not great. And then after a few years, we had really good midfielders and stuff. Still good midfielders, all that, very promising ones. Jack Wilshere, Aaron Ramsey, developing all that, but we don't have a striker. And then a few years later, you have Aubameyang, you have Lacazette, but you still don't have good defenders. And then you have a good goalkeeper, and then now you don't have good midfielders. We can't let that happen. We have good defenders. I think 80% of our midfield is good, but you don't have forward players. Let's not get into a position where by the time we sign good strikers, Gabriel and Saliba are no longer Arsenal players, and now we need defenders. No, can we have a full team for once? This has been the case since Vieira left in 2005. That has been the case. We didn't have strong enough midfielders at that point. Just terrible. But I don't think they're seeing Jesus and Kai as the new strikers. But in terms of money, I think they're waiting for Gyokeres and Sesko money to drop. I think we are basically trying to wait for the money to drop. We don't want to pay that 80 million. Rodrygo also better deal because he can play different positions even as a top man. I agree. Mwinga says that Ateta must go. Well, he's definitely going to be here next season. Cooper says, I'm following from Monrovia, Liberia. Thank you. Colapo says, I don't think Arsenal will sign Sesko or Gyokeres. I think the only signings are going to be Kepa and Zubimendi. And no, that can't be the case, though. If that's the case, I mean, where are we going to go, man? That can't happen because there's players who are leaving. So we will sign players. We will sign like 4 players. But the problem is, are we going to sign the players that we want? That's the question. Following you from Zambia, says Solomon. Simon says same mistakes every year. Hopefully that's not the case this time. That's how it feels. We can't be making the same mistakes for 4 transfer windows in a row. That would be disastrous. Good afternoon, Saudi. Do you listen for live transfer today? What? I'm not sure what you meant by that here. I apologize. We are now tired every day. Arsenal rumors, we end up getting 0. Yeah, it is frustrating, Garika. It's definitely frustrating. Good afternoon, Anu. We should learn from PSG. The current one won the Champions League, but the Neymar one never did, says Joseph. You have to balance the team. PSG have definitely balanced the team. They are very good fullbacks in Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, very good goalkeeper, very talented midfielders, a mix of experienced players and young players like Joao Neves, a lot of pace on the winger position with Dembele, a lot of flexibility. Dembele can also play as a striker. He's actually played as a striker for PSG in those games, even the Champions League final. And then, players like Due coming through and Bakola coming through. They've balanced the team. You have to balance the team. For us, we've not balanced the team. We have very good goalkeeper, very good defense, top players like Declan Rice in midfield, but the forward line is not of that level. Like, we wouldn't say Martinelli is anywhere near Rice. I know different positions, but Martinelli as a winger, he's nowhere near as Declan Rice as a midfielder. Nowhere near, And then we have a very good right side with Saka, and then you don't really have, the middle part of that. You have to get positions that you need to fill. Arsenal should sign a striker fast. That should be the case. I don't think you're going to sign a striker fast. I think we're going to get Zubimendi. We are probably going to get a goalkeeper before that. And don't be surprised if we get a defender before that as well. Please, Glenn, did you know any reason why Arsenal hasn't made any offer for players in this transfer? I think it's a case of waiting. So we've been told that the way Bata does his work, he goes and talks to like 20 players at the same time. He comes back with the names, how much money they want and all that, wages, agent fees and all that. And he sits down with the board, sits down with the management team. And then from that point on, they decide which players they should go for. Now, I'm sure that is the case because we've been told that he's had meetings with Gyokeres. We've been told he's had meetings with Sesko. We've been told he's had a lot of meetings with Zubimendi. We've been told he's had meetings with Rodrygo. We've been told he's met with a lot of different players, up to, I think they said like 23, 24 players that Bata has met up with. Then after that, he comes back to the team, and this has also been confirmed by Atletico Madrid fans. They say that is how he does his business. He talks to like 25 players, and then he comes back with the names, and then you guys decide who you want. Now, for the striker, I think it's going to be a case of waiting. I think it's going to be a case of waiting for the money to drop, because Leipzig want a lot of money, and I think this guy Sporting want like 80 plus million for Gyokeres, and Arsenal don't really want to pay that kind of money for Gyokeres because they feel like he's old at 27. So we are going to just have to wait. So for Zubimendi, they've said the deal is basically done. So in that case, we might be waiting for the new financial year with Sociedad. But for the other players, I think Arsenal want to be in control. I don't think Arsenal want to be pushed to be told, like, pay 90 million right away. I don't think they want to look desperate. Listen, I don't want the team to look desperate in the transfer window, because that's how you end up paying 100 million for players like Anthony, like Man United. Man United get fleeced all the time in the transfer window because they're usually desperate. You don't want to get into that position. But I'm happy with you having control, but also you have to take do it a bit quicker, because if you waste too much time, we are in July and other teams are going to come in for these players. Arsenal need a striker, says Humble. Reiss Nelson can go for 15 million. I read those ones. Good evening, Glenn. Any done deal so far, says Dennis? Nope. Unfortunately, I wish there was a few. The only done deal really I'd say is Zubimendi, but Arsenal have not announced it. But Zubimendi will be an Arsenal player. You've already had that confirmation from Fabrizio and David Ornstein. So that will be our first signing. So I don't know who else will be after that. Lamin says 20 million. Dan says 15 million for Nelson would be incredible. I think 10 million is a bit of a push. Yeah, again, we're also dealing with Fulham. You're not dealing with Bayern Munich or Dortmund. So Fulham have a lot of our players, players like Leno and all these guys. We wanted 10 million for Leno, and they refused to pay that. They offered like 5 million for Leno at that point. I think they ended up paying like 7 million or something. So Fulham is also not a team that is going to just come and pay us 20 million for Reiss Nelson, especially the fact that he was injured for half of last season. Not going to happen. So it might be he goes on loan again, unless his contract ends next year. I can't find anywhere written where his contract is ending. So Reba says we need a striker. I'm looking live from Guinea, thank you. We need a striker, sure, says Moses. Crystal Palace will not play Europa next season because they have two clubs. They will play, man. They will play. That's what they usually say. I mean, last season there was Nice and Man United. Man United and Nice, both of them end up playing. And there was Girona and Man City. Both of them ended up playing. Unless because Crystal Palace are not a big team, unless that ends up being the case, no, it wouldn't be fair on them. They will play. They will eventually play. These rules are always there for no reason. And then those teams will end up playing anyway. We need Zubimendi to strengthen the team. Yes, say I agree. Let's see. My goodness, Say has sent this message 10 times. He really thinks Zubimendi will really strengthen our team. Makere says, good evening, Glenn. I'm watching from South Sudan. I appreciate you. Let Arsenal buy a coach first. Arteta is not going to leave Arsenal. You know, I feel like the only reason Arsenal would get rid of Arteta is if we drop down outside the top 4. If next season we go again and we finish second, like 2 points behind Man City, he's still not going to be sacked. He's still going to be at the next season. So I think unless things completely go wrong completely and, you know, we start finishing 30 points behind Man City and Liverpool, that's the only way. So as of now, my focus is, can we get the right players in the team? When you start talking about getting rid of it and changing the captain and all these things, those things are not going to happen. So we're just wasting our time. Let's focus on, you know, what we need to do right now. Let's get a striker fast and focus on the things that can happen right now. Ate is not going to leave Arsenal right now. Odegaard is not going to be removed as captain. Havertz is not going to leave right now. Those things are not going to happen right now. So, but yeah, it's okay. That is Hannington's opinion. Fair enough. What's wrong with Arsenal? Gyokeres, you have to get him, says Robert. Money. That's the problem with Arsenal. They don't want to pay that money for him. Arsenal is my religion. Please let us get a matured striker. Gyokeres is always in my mind to destroy English teams, especially Man United and Chelsea. Big enemy, says Frederick. Yeah, Man United definitely hate them. They're the team that I hate the most. But right now we are looking at Man City and Liverpool, not really these two teams. Thomas Partey situation, please. I saw today that it's still not yet decided, and we are in June 17th, so we have 2 weeks before we decide on whether Partey is going to stay or not stay. Again, it depends on Partey. Does Partey want to stay? That's the thing, because we are hearing that the offer is there, but Partey has not signed it. So if Partey gets a better offer from a team like Barcelona, I'd not be surprised if he would want to move to there. But that would mean, again, we need a second midfield after Zubimendi, which is just so much to do once again. Tom says, Glenn, somehow the club owners have not helped us enough. We could have won 3 major honors in the last 3 years if our bosses supported the squad well. I'm Tom Sesko from Uganda. I think it's a mixture. We've also made other mistakes from Edu's point of view, from Ateta's point of view. We have made some mistakes last season, especially. Yeah. I don't think they would have known Lewis Skelly would have been that good, but maybe that 50 million would have been used elsewhere. You know, maybe 60 million somewhere else would have been used on a wing or something. I think we made a lot of mistakes in regards to that. You know, signing Sterling on the final day on loan, big mistake. I'm sure there was other players who were available on loan on that last day as well. Rashad says, I say, please attend better. Please don't silent and sleeping the days going. I guess we made now they don't sleep. Chrysler, I'm surprised that even in this second half of the transfer window, we are still indifferent, indecisive, and unfocused. We need to go all out and sign a good striker, even if it's over 100 million. Yeah, so as fans, we want that to happen, Chrysler, but I don't think the team wants to do that. The team is not going to do that. The club is not just going to say, or even if it's 100 million, you're going to sign. For us, we feel that is the case because that is the final piece. But Arsenal is not going to pay 100 million for a strike. It's not going to be the case. We are going to end up paying like 60 million. So hopefully the negotiations work. Dan says, please be patient, everyone. It's still very early. If we don't have anyone in for preseason, then we need to put pressure on Bata. Oh, wow. Preseason. If you don't have anyone by preseason, that's a month from now. That would be crazy if we don't have anyone by preseason. But actually, training starts at the beginning of July. So the players who are back, they're going to go for preseason training in Spain. So Anu says, Glenn, please, what is happening? Which player are we really wanting to buy Gyokeres or Sesko because in the morning Gyokeres, in the afternoon Sesko, in the night Watkins. I know. No one knows who we are going to sign. Good evening, bro. Please update us on Jesus, says Hamid. Jesus is injured, so we're not going to. Jesus is not going to leave with an injury, so Jesus is not going to be there until December. So we just have a player there, but he's not going to be there until December. Same with Tomiyasu. Joseph says you need a striker. Yep. Bolo says this Andrea Bata transfer style is very annoying and frustrating, and I want to believe Edu Gasper is better than Andrea Bata. We can't really say that until after the transfer window closes. We cannot say that June 17th. In my as I said, if in July Andrea Bata's style ends up getting Rodrygo and Gyokeres, then we can't really say that. But if we end the transfer window with one signing, then we can say, oh, actually, Edu was better than Andrea Bata. But as of now, in terms of experience and everything else, nah, Andrea Bata has done that job for like almost 20 years. So, yeah. I had just one thing that makes Andrea better than almost every single director I know. This guy sold Griezmann to Barcelona for 100 million, and he went back to Barcelona 1 year later, and he got him back for like 10 million. That is incredible business, man. He basically just stole 90 million. I had Thomas Partey's leaving. No Partey without Partey. There's still a chance. So here it's 50-50. We don't know what is going to happen with Partey. Ivan says, Glenn, well done for a good job. Thank you. I think Arsenal are also waiting for the new year to sign their players officially. We were told that Arsenal don't have a problem with them finances because we've earned a lot of money because of reaching the semi-final of the Champions League, because of finishing second. Again, all that to get more money, doing all that. And we've not really sold players at all, but someone like we sold Nketiah and Smith-Rowe. I don't think we ever used that money, the money that we sold Nketiah and Smith-Rowe for and all that. Yeah, I don't think also like in a situation where they don't have money completely. No, you can be careful in terms of not messing up with PSR. I think the PSR results are coming out like this week or something. Maybe they're waiting for that. I don't know. But yeah, there's no one who has made a bid for Gyokeres yet or Sesko yet. So that is giving me a little bit of confidence. If Chelsea or Man United or Liverpool or any of these guys were pushing, then I'd be like, you need to hurry up. Arsenal always has a virus of waiting until the late hour when even the cheap players will tend to be higher. Yep, just to avoid heart attack, I have learned to wait until Nielsen says, Joel. Yep, for some people, it has to be that way. You have to just like forget about what Arsenal is doing right now because it's a lot of stress. You can just wait until August and see what we've done. Please also should sign a striker. Read that one. Nice seeing you, look as well. Yep, I'm doing good. Hopefully you're doing good as well. As for Reiss Nelson, he's good enough to be a backup for Saka. Even if our boss had used him in place of Martinelli and Trossard, he still would have come good. If Emre is still our coach, Etta should give such youths the needed opportunity. Lamine Yamal would not have been as good if he's not used regularly. Darman will come good. He is not too young to be used next season. Hopefully he gets chances next season. Darman, I don't think is going to play regularly though in the Premier League. Cup competitions, hopefully we do see him. Why are they allowing Partey to go? Now I'm hearing that we've given Partey a new contract, but we are hearing that Partey and his agent are not satisfied with the new contract. So if that is the case, if Partey doesn't want to sign the contract, there's nothing you can do because the contract is ending unless you go and pay him 300,000 per week, which is not going to happen. So I also don't think I've heard that rumors. I'm not sure that is the case. I've heard rumors that Partey wants his wages to go up, and that's not like, no, you're over 30 years of age, you're not going to increase your wages. If it's the same wages, I think he should be good for at least one more year. But let's see. I'm still going to lean towards 60% is going to stay, 40% he might leave. We need Partey to stay, says Jordan. I'm also in the same boat, not even just because of his performances last season, but because of, if you start selling Partey, then you need another midfielder. We've not even signed Zubimendi yet. We have not signed a striker yet, a winger, a goalkeeper, a defender. That will be too much to do. And then if you also add the fact that we need to give Saka a new contract, Saliba a new contract, Lewis Skelly a new contract, Nwaneri a new contract, that feels like too much to do. That's not it. We still also need to sort out Vieira's future, Nelson's future, all this. It's a lot to do again if you start getting rid of all of these players. Arsenal is letting us down by now. We could not have known which number 9 will be wanting. Yeah, by now I feel like we should know which one we really want, but hopefully they know who they really want and they end up getting them. Hopefully we don't end up like without any of them. That is my worry. Don't end up without any of them and then go for plan C, plan D. I've heard rumors about Vlahovic today. We cannot go from Gyokeres and Sesko, even Watkins, and then back to Vlahovic, a player we wanted to sign 5 years ago. We cannot go back to that kind of level again. We want a striker who's going to, who's been scoring a bunch of goals recently. But let's see how it goes the rest of the night. Once again, same stream, same time tomorrow. Hopefully we do have more things to talk about, more done deals to talk about. As someone had said earlier here, it's very frustrating. It is very frustrating to come on here every single day and there's no done deals for sure. So let's hope we do have concrete things to talk about later tonight and tomorrow as well. If there's something that happens, there'll be a video later on. But as of now, thank you for watching and I'll catch up with you guys.